The Reds drop another series to the Pirates of Pittsburgh, and the 2024 season is now adrift after being boarded by those Pirates. Is it time to make major changes to this crew? Fly the Jolly Roger.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I don't like it when you say that. Hey, what's up? This is Jeff Carr. He's Steve Offenbaker, and welcome into Locked On Reds. Thank you so much for making Locked On Reds part of your day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day, and Steve and I have been lifelong Cincinnati Reds fans. We have loved this team since birth. We've gone through all the thick and thin. We've gone through mostly thin. Is thick good and thin bad? Whatever it is, we've been through it all when it comes to these Cincinnati Reds, and we want to bring to you a show every single day that is accessible to you as we talk about this team, as we try to work through what on earth the 2024 Cincinnati Reds team is. We'll talk about the big thing, we'll talk about the geeky stats, and we'll overreact to the daily goings-on of Major League Baseball. I'm so glad that you're here with us today, because we got a lot to get to where it comes to, we'll talk about a couple of players. Do we need to redefine what their role is? We're going to ask the question, are the Reds too far out of the playoffs? And it has nothing to do with the fact that they're only 4 games behind right now. And also, we'll start, though, first with which do we believe between last year and this year? And that's all coming up on today's episode that is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. And for those in the comment section, if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, I would love for you to hit us up on Twitter. You can hit me up at Jeff Carr with 3 Fs. You can hit Steve at S Offenbaker with 2 Fs. I want to know from you, what do you buy more? Do you buy the good vibes and the rally Reds and all of the fun that 2023 was? Yes, it wasn't a playoff season, but it was a lot of fun and a lot of promise. Do you buy that? Or do you buy the 2024 season that is fraught with injuries, fraught with roster mismanagement, fraught with fundamental lack of, no fundamentals whatsoever on the field? Which do you buy more when it comes to the Cincinnati Reds team, Steve? Because right now, the 2024 version is just beating me down.
Well, yeah, you're asking who are the real Cincinnati Reds? Were the real Cincinnati Reds that youth-infused, driven, good time party show that we saw in 2023, or are they this constantly broke down, ever so close but never over the finish line version
ice cream machine at McDonald's
in 2024? Yeah, exactly. There are no soft serve available around here. Here's the deal. I think this team, when healthy, is much more the 2023 team than the 2024 team. But I mean, I was gone for a couple days, Jeff, and I come back and I don't know half the guys on this roster. I heard you talking about Levi, Levin, and somebody else. And I'm like, are we doing lawyer ads now? And then I find out, no, that's actually guys playing on the field. If you had told me that these guys would be getting at bats and pitching in games that meant something here as we head towards July, if you told me that at the beginning of the season, first of all, I would have been like, dude, those players, are they real? Are those real guys? I've not heard of these guys. But it is not great. And it leads me to a point that I want to make right up front. I saw some messages on X. People are like, they need a Steve rant, because I do tend to lose it when stuff happens that pushes me over the edge.
You haven't talked for a few days too.
And I haven't. And the Reds play over the last week has pushed me over the edge, but that's not where I want to start. We're going to get there. But where I want to start is I am sick. I am tired of the medical misdiagnosis, the medical misdirection, listen, would somebody within the Reds organization that knows what the heck is going on with these players, please stand up. We've seen now on 2 occasions players that are day-to-day suddenly seeking a second opinion, followed by, oh, by the way, season-ending surgery. We've seen that twice now this year. We continue to see players that's diagnoses were missed, that are botched. Yesterday's game, Jeffrey, there was one guy on the bench available to play, and that was Luke Maile, who you might as well
He
send
plays
David Bell up
catcher.
there to
That's
hit.
it.
He plays
Yeah.
catcher. That's it. And he can't hit. So I don't know what's going on. But part of the drive by is, is Steve going to start talking about fire David Bell? We'll get to that. But I'll tell you who needs to be fired. Every single person involved with the Cincinnati Reds that has had any input on medical decisions thus far in 2024 should not have a job as of today. Fire everybody. I'm talking about trainers. I'm talking about doctors. I'm talking about nutritionists, hydration specialists. If they have had anything to do with keeping a player healthy in 2024, they should be fired right now.
We need Bobby Boucher is what you're saying. But yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm to the point that if I hear a diagnosis of a player's injury, I'm like, are we sure? Because like the CES thing for me is what's kind of put it over the edge. I mean, Matt McClain was interesting because David Bell, this was back in spring training, David Bell was talking about, if we get him in a game here in a week or two, he should be ready for opening day. And then 3 days later, we heard the report he had labrum surgery. We're like, huh? Those two things don't mix. But then at least with this CES thing, they're giving us time because they said, well, he's going to have surgery. I fully expected for them to tell us, oh yeah, by the way, he had successful surgery yesterday. Like,
yeah, I did. Me too.
I was surprised they at least told us about the planned surgery. That's something. Maybe the doctors backed up. They've got too many surgeries with this team going on as it is.
Well, and there can't be anybody left in the organization from a player perspective that believes anything the team medical personnel is telling them. And I think that's why we're seeing so many second opinions. I think that's why Matt McClain went and got his second opinion. I think that's why CES went and got his second opinion. The players don't believe a word these guys are telling them. At least that's my suspicion.
That's what it looks like from the outside looking in. Plus you add in, we talked about the hydration specialist for a reason. 2 games, 2 starts in a row now. You got Hunter Green barfing. It's just the second game it happened to get caught on camera, and so everyone's taking it and running with it, national outlets and all that other stuff on social media. They're just like, look at this, Hunter Green's just throwing up on the mound, it's so bad in Cincinnati. So yeah, the visuals right now, man, are just god awful. And Jake Fraley being a late scratch, the report that Jeimer Candelario has knee tendonitis, and then the report that David Bell said yesterday that it's not getting better, it's getting worse. Health-wise,
that makes sense. Let's break that down for just a second.
Vexed, man. I'm vexed.
Jeimer has been on a heater for a while now, and I get not wanting to sit him down. But tendonitis is inflammation of a tendon. And that comes from overuse, repeated use, continued use. He needs some non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, ibuprofen, folks. He needs to rest a little bit and let the inflammation reduce. The Reds can't afford that to happen right now. They absolutely cannot set Jeimer down. So what I'm afraid is that they're going to just keep running him out there until he really breaks. And then that's going to be a problem.
So, and we say all this to say that the fact that we remember the fun that we had last year. And quite frankly, there's been a few moments of fun this year. And it's just like, it's a reminder that this team can be fun. So where do you lean? Like if we had like a meter, if there was like a meter pointing at either 2023, 2024, like, is it in the middle? Does it lean more to 2024? Does it lean more to 2023? Because here's the thing. I think 2023 shows the potential of the roster. 2024 shows the nightmarish worry of leadership.
And lack of depth. Both things.
Yeah.
So, for me, I think 2023 showed us, you're right, what this team can be. When healthy, when firing on all cylinders, when everybody is chasing and living up to their potential. 2024 is really teetering on the brink of train wreck. And, I don't believe that 2024 is representative of who they can be. I think, though, that it exposes the fact that Nick Krall, although he did a lot of things right in the offseason, did not address the outfield. It exposes the fact that the starting pitching, after what we've got at the big league level, is in trouble. And we can talk about that a little bit later, as far as the prospects that we thought were coming that are now not coming. We're seeing where their weaknesses are. They have been exposed. So the question now is, what is Nick Krall going to do about it? Because there is a clear answer to what needs to happen, and it is to bring in some help.
Yeah, and I think that this is probably one of those scenarios where he's looking for a guy with multiple years of control. He's looking for a guy that's not just for this year. Like maybe he helps out this year, but he's not looking for a rental. The Reds are not in rental territory here. They're looking for a guy that they can at least have for next year as well, if not further down the road. And I believe that deal is there to be made, Brent Rooker. But they got to go out and they got to do it. And quite frankly, I don't know that they can wait till the trade deadline to do it.
No, it'll be too far. It'll be too late. It'll be too far gone to fix any of those things. And that's actually a great segue, because changes need to be made in order to get this team anywhere near the level that it performed at in 2023. And with the Reds seemingly in free fall, Jeff, all of the hopes for 2024's postseason are sunk. Well, maybe. We'll tell you about that coming up next. Here on Locked On Reds, we pride ourselves on getting you the latest news about the Cincinnati Reds. Whether it's spring training, the regular season, the postseason, or the offseason, it's year-round coverage. And you know what else is year-round? Collection season. I know that's not very fun, but tax season just doesn't end. Just because tax season's over, it doesn't mean the IRS is going to stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. They are going to get theirs. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. I know I have filed my taxes multiple different ways throughout my life, whether it's been as an independent contractor or an employee for a company, and Tax Network USA will make it easy to do that and more. With over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion, with a B, $billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or finally hit on that LE parlay and you need some help filing your taxes this season, look no further than Tax Network USA. You can call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/locked on. For more information, see the link in today's episode's show description.
Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices that you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers.
You have got to check out Locked On Sports today. It's a free 24/7 streaming sports channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories in sports. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news from our national host as well as our local experts like Jeff and I. It's streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Jeff, you and I, ever the optimists, ever the spinners of positivity around here. But we're in territory now where we have to realistically ask ourselves the questions. Is this free fall too much? Is it so bad that hope for the playoffs in 2024 is now gone? I am going to let you go first and see what you think about the Reds' potential postseason opportunities.
Yeah, man, because, here's the thing. I am always trying to look for the optimistic point of view, looking for the optimistic angle. But these last two games, and it's not just these last two games. These last two games are culminations of things that have been happening all year. And you keep thinking, well, it's going to get better. They're going to fix it. They're going to stop doing that. But it's fundamental things here and there. Tuesday, Jake Fraley caught a ball and then just let everything go. Actually, he didn't catch it. I'm sorry. It was a bloop into right field. He catches it off a bounce. 1 run scores easy, but O'Neal Cruz is paying attention, running from second. He looks from third, sees a Jake Fraley lazily, lofts it into the infield to Ellie De La Cruz, and O'Neal Cruz scores from third because he takes advantage of it. These are things that are happening on a daily basis. I mean, the Wednesday game, there was a play where they had a chance at a double play, and India threw it to Ellie, but India threw it offline, so Ellie had to reach for it, make sure his foot was on the bag just to get the one out. No chance at a double play from there. There's these little things that continually add up. And it's like when you're playing where the Reds are, when you have all these injuries, when you're playing a bunch of guys either out of position or, quite frankly, out of their depth, you can't afford to miss the little things, and they miss these little things so much. They don't look like a playoff team right now. And I hate saying that because I'm like, man, there's still a lot of season left and they're only 4 games back. But I have a bad feeling that that's just going to, that gap is just going to begin to widen.
I want to differentiate between winning the division and making the playoffs. I'm calling the division. They're done. They're 10.5 games back. It's going to be a while before they can get their mojo back. If they can get their mojo back, they're not going to make a run for this division. They can hang around for this wild card situation though, Jeff. And I think there are some reasons to believe that they could still be relevant all the way through the season and be in a position to make a push at the end. I believe we will see Matt McLain this year. As much as I said, fire all of the medical people, please. But the timeline for Matt McLain was been brought forward to the Reds by the second opinion specialist in Los Angeles. He is the guy managing the rehab now. He is the guy setting the timeline, not the Reds team doctor. So August as a possibility, I believe August is a possibility. That would be a huge infusion to this lineup. At some point, TJ Friedel has to be coming back and has to stick. He has had the worst bad luck season thus far in 2024, but the times he's been around, he has been a game changer. It is a markedly different Reds lineup when TJ Friedel is in it. Get him back, get Matt McLain back, Noelvi Marte. We don't know what he's going to do or if he is going to do. I suspect, given the shorthandedness of the Reds right now, you call him up, you throw him out there, and you tell us, son, show us what you got. Go make your mea culpa, make up with the fans, and do it by hitting a lot of home runs. That's what I think they do with Noelvi. Then the situation starts to change a little bit. So I think that they can still cobble together a lineup that can keep them close in the wild card and then make a push at the end. So there's a chance. I'm telling you, there's a chance, but not to win the division.
I like it. I just, because I see these little things, man, and like the Pirates are fine. The Pirates aren't good. They're better than average. They're a lot better than they've been in years past, and they are on the come up. They're going to be a division contender probably next year, definitely 2 years from now. That's where I hope that the Reds are. And quite frankly, I think that there is an element of this year that is needed. I think any successful team has to go through their licks. And I'm not talking about we as fans. I'm talking about the players on the field. These players are still just beginning their major league careers. We Reds fans have seen all the licks, man. We've seen all the crap. And I'm not saying that's anything to do with us. That's why we're impatient. That's why we're so beat down, because we saw the promise of 2023, and that promise has not been super evident this year. And that's why everyone's worried. And for Joe commenter that's in the comments section right now, like, you guys are off your rocker. This team's horrible. They'll never be good again. I at least understand where you're coming from. I don't agree with you, but I understand where you're coming from. And I feel like that is where these last 2 games have just beat me down so much. And maybe I'm holding off. And I'm just saying, all right, they still have time to get into this awful wild card, because the NL is so awful. We're starting to see some teams emerge, but what does that actually look like consistently? Because the Cardinals have been really bad at points this season. I'm not buying them as a consistently good team the rest of the way. The Padres have been really bad at points this season. I'm not buying them as a consistent team. And stop it with the Nationals. Like, Jesse Winker is just, I don't know what's going on there. I'm kind of happy that he's doing his thing. But, like, the Nationals are not a real playoff team. Come on, get out of here with that. But, so there's a chance. But
there is a chance.
They got to get right now, man.
They do. Right now. And does that involve changing any of the decision makers? Because I see you guys, comment section. I see you guys, audio listeners, with your messages on X. Fire David Bell. That is the mantra that is getting louder and louder and louder. I don't believe that the Castellinis have the intestinal fortitude to fire David Bell. I don't see that happening.
The gall.
Do I believe that he has made horrid decisions and it deserves a conversation? Yes, I do. After what we've seen over the last couple weeks, I'm starting to think that David Bell does not have a grasp on what is really going on with this team. I am tired of his post-game pressers saying they're almost there, they're playing well, they're on the edge. The only thing that I know for sure is that David Bell is delusional. And it's time to do things differently because he's living out the definition of insanity every single day, saying the exact same things while we get the exact same results. And that is coming up short. Either do something different or get somebody in here that will do something different. But if this season is going to be salvaged, it cannot be status quo.
Definitely have some thoughts about that because I want to continue this thought process with David Bell. I also want to look at a pitcher when it comes to redefining some roles and one of my favorite players on this team. But we'll do that coming up next.
This episode of Locked On Reds is brought to you by Booking.com or Booking.yeah, because with summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities that you've always secretly wanted to learn about. Yes, we're even talking about our rival cities like Pittsburgh and Milwaukee. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay, even in Pittsburgh. You know, Jeff and I, we have traveled to watch the Reds on the road. I was in Texas this year. Jeff was in Miami. Last season, I went to San Diego. Next season, we're even considering taking the Locked On Reds podcast to a road city to record. Booking.com can help you get all of that done. With hotels that overlook stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this Major League Baseball season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even if it is one of your rivals' cities. Just book today on Booking.com and you can save tons of money and find the perfect stay. And you can use the Booking.com app as well.
Are you struggling to close deals? Business-to-business selling is tougher than ever. And that's why I want to tell you about LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a sales intelligence platform that helps professionals effectively prospect and engage high-value customers, drive higher revenue, and increase sales performances. Sales Navigator helps you target the right buyers, surface key signals such as job changes or which accounts you should prioritize, and shows you hidden allies so you can find those buyers that are most likely to convert. Fueled by LinkedIn's 1 billion member platform, Sales Navigator gives you the most up-to-date first-party data, enabling you to unlock conversations with the people that matter. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/lockedon. That's linkedin.com/lockedon for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/lockedon and get started. Continuity error. You know, if you want to catch the Reds hometown broadcast wherever you go, download the SiriusXM app and search the word Reds. That's the SXM app. Search the word Reds. You can listen to the Reds home broadcast from anywhere with that app. Also, make sure you check out CincinnatiRedsTalk.com. Got a lot of great stuff there. My article about why the Reds should trade for Brent Rooker. I have one coming out a little bit later on today about the Reds and maybe the Marlins getting together for a deal. We'll see what that could look like, and
That
that's
could be really good too. That one could be
that's
really
yeah.
good.
That's if
There's a potential
yeah.
for a twofer there.
I like that idea, and if they can't get something done with Brent Rooker, then I really want to see that happen. But yeah, that's coming out on CincinnatiRedstock.com. Make sure you bookmark that today. You know, Steve, Graham Ashcraft returned on Wednesday, and he looked better for an inning. I want to kind of talk about what he looks like the rest of the season, but I want to finish up our conversation about David Bell, because I've been a ardent supporter, maybe not necessarily of the man David Bell, but of how his situation is set up. He isn't the guy that makes all the decisions that, old school managers did. The Reds attack this corporately. They have advisors, they have people that help build lineups with David Bell. They have people that help figure out when they go to the bullpen, when they get people up, who they get up, all this other stuff. There's so many different things that they use as far as analytics are concerned to help make all of these decisions. David Bell does have final say on this stuff, but it's not as if he is the guy that's pulling most of these strings. He is kind of being handed some of the strings to pull. So I kind of think that there's two questions to ask here, because I don't necessarily think removing him and getting somebody else makes that big of a difference, but does he himself have the ability to kind of call out what's going on with this team? Because his post-game press conferences don't inspire any sort of confidence, but we know that that's his public persona. His private persona is different. What I see out on the field, though, is it doesn't seem to be the case.
He does not act like a guy that is worried at all about maybe losing his job. I said it back there in the other segment, Jeff. The Reds aren't going to fire David Bell.
Right.
Does he deserve to be fired? He's done some things lately that I think should call it into question. But you're absolutely right. The lineup is constructed by committee. The pitching situation is handled by committee. But the buck stops with David Bell. He's the face of the thing. You want to win me over? You want to buy yourself some more goodwill for me? Then let's fire Pickler today, because he has the most input on the lineups outside of David Bell. Mm-hmm. And on the pitching side of things, Derek Johnson's got to get it together. He has got to be given maybe the thing you do there is with the pitching the rest of the way. David Bell is not the decider. Let Derek Johnson make the pitching changes. Let him be the one that decides who's coming in out of the bullpen. If David still
almost
wants
like
to walk
taking
out there,
play calling away from a coach.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. When you take a head coach that's calling the offense and you take it away from them because they've got too much to do, maybe that's what we need to do here. The Reds aren't going to fire David Bell. They're not going to fire David Bell because the guy that they would hire to replace David Bell would be like ordering David Bell from wish.com. It's like when we get Tim in here to cover for you. That's right. What you would get. But if you make some changes in who's responsible, you can reevaluate at the end of the season. So for me, I hear you, Reds country. I get why so many of you are like, fire David Bell, fire him. I get where that comes from. I understand, but it's not going to make that much of a difference. I think what the Reds need to do is to redefine some roles right now, both with the coaching staff and with the players, and try and right this ship. They are so adrift right now. I don't even know what they're doing. But they cannot continue to just do the same thing every day.
Yeah, and I think that you kind of hit on something there. There's a couple of players, and I don't think it's like systematic that you need to redefine a bunch of roles, but there's a couple of players to ask about. And I wanted to start with Graham Ashcraft because it's a conversation topic we've broached, and maybe this is something we bring up. We'll continue to monitor it as he pitches and stuff like this. But do you move him to the bullpen? Because we have been at odds about this, right? You have been talking about this for a little bit longer. I have pushed back against it, but then something changed my mind last week, and that was both Jeff Brantley and Chris Welch, two guys that I respect a lot, started talking about this openly, which tells me the organization is talking about it. And then we see how Graham looked yesterday, and I think it might make sense. Yeah, because there's a couple of things to back this up, because in his 3 years, almost 3 years, he hadn't pitched 3 full years, but the 3 seasons that he has been in the majors so far, when he gets to the third time through the order, opposing hitters have a 289 batting average. They get on base 36% of the time, and they slug 466. I mean, that's a really good, that's an all-star hitter right there. Those are the kind of numbers that get you to the all-star game. Plus, so like looking at these numbers, his strikeout to walk ratio the first time through the order is 3.4. So he didn't walk a guy until he almost has 4 strikeouts in his belt. When it gets to the third time through the order, it's 1.75. All of his stuff begins to, I don't know if it's seen better. I don't know if people, just are able to plan him better or something like that. As they get through the third time through the order, he is very, not useless, but it's not, it doesn't make a lot of sense for him to pitch the third time through the order. And the other thing for me, even just this season, is he's now had 13 starts, Steve. Only 3 of them have gone 6 or more innings, and only one of them has gone more than 6 innings, and that was for 6 1/3. He's not gone as long into games this season as he has last year.
So here's the problem. You take him out of the rotation, you stick him in the bullpen. Who are you going to replace him with? Carson Spires already in for Nick Lodolo. You're going to have to go to another arm. In Louisville, Connor Phillips was sent to Arizona. His campaign in 2024 has been so bad that they sent him back to Arizona to try and figure some things out. He is out of the mix. Yeah. Brett Kennedy in Louisville this season has started 10 games, has a 7.74 ERA. Now, at least what he has going for him is he's not walking a lot of guys. His strikeouts to walks, 34 strikeouts to 9 walks. Another guy you might consider down there is Lyon Richardson, 4.81 ERA, 15 starts. Okay, maybe we're cooking a little bit. 59 strikeouts, 46 walks. That is not ready for the big league level. My point here is there's nobody in Louisville right now that you could pluck up to the big league roster and expect them to have any type of meaningful success in replacing Graham Ashcraft. So that puts us back into bullpen start once a turn right now, which would be some combination of Brett Sooner and Nick Martinez.
But David Bell did say yesterday that they expect Nick Lodolo to make his next start on July 9th, which effectively meant that he missed this turn because he was supposed to pitch today or Wednesday. He missed this turn, and he'll miss a next turn, and then he'll be ready for what would be the third start in this run. So really, you just have to cover one start. And that could be a bullpen game. That could even be a situation where Brent Suter is the opener. Graham Ashcraft comes in. And then you see what you got. If he goes one time through the order and he looks really good, maybe we give him another shot. If he starts to fall apart that second time through the order, then you get Martinez up in the bullpen, or you get Justin Wilson or somebody else up in the bullpen, just having it ready. I feel like right now they're managing Graham Ashcraft as if he is last year's version of himself, and there has something changed in his game that he is not. While Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo have taken gigantic steps forward and look amazing, Graham Ashcraft has stood still, if maybe not even took a step back.
Yeah, so he regressed.
Yeah, and I get it. Like, he went down to AAA and he didn't walk anybody, and that was kind of nice. But he came up on Wednesday and he was giving up a lot of hard contact, man. There wasn't a lot of walks, but it was a lot of hard contact. And that's just not something that you can bank on working every fifth day.
Well, we're talking about redefining roles, and we're well over on time right now, Jeff. But before we get out of here today, we really need to have a conversation about your dude. And because you're the president of the Will Benson fan club, I feel like I'll let you go first here, but I'm just going to put it to you like this. Is it time to send him down?
Yeah. For him, like, I want, and I even I went to the ballpark on Wednesday. I wore my Will Benson is a problem t-shirt, and there were a lot of people like, really? And I'm like, I'm trying to will it into existence, man. Pun intended. So
the question then becomes, who do we replace him with, right? So Blake Dunn's on the IL down in Louisville. Connor Capel cleared waivers, and the Reds clearly don't see him as being a very viable option. His AAA numbers are okay. They're not lights out. Here's a hypothesis. Here's what I propose. Will Benson is as bad can get right now. Let's call up Reese Hines. at AAA right now, 213, 292, 403. You're like, what? Call him up. He's got 12 home runs in AAA. You're talking about bringing up somebody to be the last guy kind of on the bench right now. Reese Hines has pop in his bat. You can throw him out there in a late inning at bat when you hope to hit a home run off of a lefty. He's a right-handed batter. Bring him up. Let him do it. It can't be any worse.
No,
can't be any worse.
I mean, because what's going to happen is Nick Martini is going to take the lion's share of Will Benson's playing time while he's gone.
Yep.
So then you really just need that rotational guy. Outside of going out and trading for an outfielder, that makes some sense, because you're right. I mean, there's nobody else. Like, I look down the list, I'm like, you're not bringing him up. You're not bringing him up. You're not bringing them up. And Blake Dunn's hurt. And it's just like, it's tough, man. I mean, they brought up Levi Jordan just to have his outfield depth, and he hadn't played a game in the outfield in Louisville this year. Like, that's where we're at right now. So why not bring up Reese Hines at this point? It's tough because he strikes out about 45% of the time, and that's not going to get better when you come up to the major leagues. But at this point, it's more about getting Will Benson right and, seeing what you can do in the short term to kind of weather that storm, because, man, he just looks lost at the plate. It looks like he's going up there and he's just hacking, and it doesn't matter if it's coming at the plate. He's either going to swing or he's not going to swing, and it has nothing to do with where the pitch is or what the pitch is. That's just what he's doing. He's either going to swing or not swing, and it's obviously not worked. I mean, 1 for his last 31, 0 for his last 25. Like, we've heard the numbers a bunch. He didn't play on Wednesday, so they didn't change. But overall, you got to get him right. Yeah, I think that's probably where the team turns around, is if he gets right, everything else kind of falls into place.
All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Reds. We're going to end right there. There's a lot more to talk about and a lot more people I want to fire, so let me calm down, and we'll try again later this week. But we appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for making Locked On Reds your first listen of the day. If you haven't done so, click the like button, the notification bell, the subscribe button, and the audio feeds. Make sure you're subscribed. You can take us in the car. You can take us to the gym. Wherever you need us to be, we can be there. Make sure you're subscribed both on YouTube and the audio feeds. That is going to do it for us today, Jeff. Tell the folks what they can expect from us the rest of the way.
They can expect us to be all over the rumors, all over the rumblings, all over the grumblings as we head into trade season, and all over what they're going to do with this roster, because we will be Locked On Reds every single day.
Fire all the medical people now.
You heard him. Go do it.